Yup, it's time. It's time for me to rebuild the Minnesota Vikings on Madden 23. The choice to take over the Minnesota Vikings this year for my big franchise rebuild was ultimately an easy one. I am a lifelong Minnesota Viking fan, and I've seen almost everything from this team. From the NFC Championship heartbreaks to the seasons that fell apart after showing so much promise, to years of mediocre play, thinking they were just a franchise quarterback away from actually becoming that Super Bowl team. Those, of course, are the negatives, but I've also seen some incredible Hall of Fame players, and there have been so many in the Vikings' history, and there have been some fantastic seasons over the past couple decades. I'm about to turn 30 years old, and I've never seen this team play in a Super Bowl, because the last time they did was over 16,000 days ago, back in 1976, when they lost Super Bowl 11 to the Oakland Raiders, coached by the great John Madden. The Vikings are arguably the most successful professional sports team in America that has never won a title. This team has the Hall of Famers, the division titles, a decade in the 70s where they were outstanding, but they've never claimed the trophy named after the head coach of their greatest adversary. And that's why I'm here, to take over the Vikings in Madden 23 and try to achieve the unachievable and turn the purple and gold into a championship caliber team. Now, this choice of team may surprise you, as I've done a series with the Vikings before, and I've used them in some smaller projects. I did a 4-part rebuild with them a year ago. That was just a quick little series, and I believe in like Madden 17 I did a franchise with them. It was a weird player lock franchise, wasn't as good as I thought it would be. But it's been now over a decade since my last major series with the Minnesota Vikings. That was back on Madden 12. I think all the videos were in like 480p. I was 19 years old. They were playing in the Metrodome. It was a few head coaches ago. They had different uniforms. It was a completely different team in a very different NFL. So it's been a very long time since I've taken the Vikings over in a major series, and I really want to do that in this franchise rebuild. I found a great franchise format here for this channel where I can go deep into these teams' futures, 10, 20 seasons, and that's just something I've never done with my Vikings before. Now, it also might surprise you that I picked a team that's, not expected to compete for a Super Bowl, but they're also not expected to be drafting Bryce Young or CJ Stroud next season. This is more of a mid-tier team, and that's kind of what I was looking for this year. After the Giants rebuild that saw me draft quarterback Brian Petrovsky, he became our franchise quarterback by episode 6, and we never looked back as we were pretty much successful from that point on. And you know what? Brian Petrovsky has returned after a strange end to his career that saw him just walk away in training camp and never come back. Well, now he's coaching the Minnesota Vikings. If he can't get it done, nobody can get it done. But back to what I was talking about. This is more of a mid-tier team. If you look at, say, Vegas projected win totals, the Vikings are expected to win 9.5 games this year, essentially. They're right in the middle of the NFL. And I'm getting real sick and tired of every year just, can the Vikings be a wild card team, and acting like that's supposed to be an achievement, but, they have not gone to the playoffs in back-to-back years in over a decade. They've had no consistency, and last year especially was very frustrating, and this series is a big reaction to how last year went. The Vikings were 8-9 a year ago, far from the worst record I've ever seen them have. I mean, 2020 was worse than last year. But last season was my least favorite year of watching the Minnesota Vikings. That is because they weren't fun to watch. This was a team that was not prepared to win on Sundays. I knew from their first drive of the season that this would not be a good team. The Vikings had 4 offensive fouls on their first drive of the season last year, and they ended up with a 3rd and 24. And that really encapsulates their season. Constantly beating themselves. The Vikings didn't play good football, and yet they still almost made the playoffs because they have a lot of talent. They blew a number of games late last year. You go back to the missed field goal against Arizona, losing on the last-second touchdown to the Detroit Lions. How about that Halloween game against Cooper Rush and the Cowboys? Man, that was so... I don't want to relive the 2021 season. I want to take this team into the future. And we are entering a 2022 season that's already surprised me, and they haven't played any games. Because the Vikings cleaned house after last year, but didn't do a whole lot of changing to the roster. This is a Vikings team that's very much trying to run it back with their existing core. And that's a very risky decision. Because a lot of these veterans are maybe in the late stages of their prime, or maybe we'll find out that some are even past their prime. But this is a team that now relies on a number of veterans and not rookies or players on their rookie contracts. There are some, but this is a veteran football team. Let's start at the quarterback position. Kirk Cousins. The Vikings signed him after the 2017 season, hoping he would be the final piece of the puzzle. He's gotten now 3 fully guaranteed deals from the Minnesota Vikings, and they've only made the playoffs once with him. This is incorrect. He did not play for the Vikings in 2017. There has been some issues with these historic stats I've noticed, like sack numbers are not showing up for a lot of the edge rushers. They got Kirk here in 2017 with the Vikings. But Kirk Cousins, I mean, he is one of the most divisive quarterbacks. The mid-tier quarterbacks tend to be. Whether it's fair or not, quarterbacks will be judged by their wins and losses. And Kirk Cousins has never been a high-level winner in his football career. He's only been to the playoffs a couple of times, has one playoff record, has more guaranteed contracts that he's signed than he has playoff wins. But he is a good quarterback. A quarterback who will produce in your offense, a quarterback that gives you a chance to win most of your games, but also has his flaws. At the end of the day, Kirk Cousins is a mid-tier 34-year-old quarterback. So you know he's likely not the answer 3 seasons from now. In this series, we'll have to find the Vikings' next quarterback, whether that be a new rookie, or we are able to develop second-year player Kellen Mond. The face of the Minnesota Vikings, though, these last 2 years, come on now. Justin Jefferson. I think by the end of the year, we'll be talking about him as the best receiver in the NFL, uncontested. He's been incredible in his first 2 seasons in the NFL, an absolute superstar, and a player that, if the Vikings didn't have, probably would have already started a more major rebuild. But when you have a great player like Justin Jefferson, it helps make up for a lot of other deficiencies. As we begin this Minnesota Vikings franchise rebuild, we inherit an offense that I think is legitimately top 10. Could be even higher if things come together the right way this season. Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, and Adam Thielen are all great playmakers. They've been building a solid offensive line. Not a great one, but for years they had one of the worst. And now they don't, and I'm super excited about that. I'm also excited to see Irv Smith Jr. come back from the lost season of a year ago and hopefully have a big year in his contract season. Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill, I believe, are going to be a very good tackle duo that can lead the Vikings into the future. There are a lot of great pieces in place for this offense, and the Vikings have become an offensive football team over the last few years. Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins are big reasons for that, but also, you certainly can't call them a defensive football team anymore, as they have fallen off significantly from 2017, as they weren't able to add any major difference makers in the years afterwards. Failed draft picks and bad free agent signings just didn't help out a defense that was once the best in the NFL. And if the Vikings had won the Super Bowl in 2017 after that season, we'd be talking about them with some of the best defenses of all time. I do believe that. That was an elite defense. Here in 2022, the Vikings have kept around a number of veterans like Eric Kendricks and Harrison Smith, two of my favorite defenders they have ever had. And now they've added a couple young guys who are intriguing. First rounder Lewis Cine. I think the plan is to ultimately have him become the player that takes over for Harrison Smith. And with this skill set, you gotta be excited. The speed, the hit power, tackling, zone coverage, he should be a do-it-all safety for the Vikes. Meanwhile, the Vikings haven't had a true high-level cornerback since Xavier Rhodes and Terrence Newman even in 2017. Terrence Newman was very good that year. Can Andrew Booth be the next great corner for the Minnesota Vikings? We sure hope so, because this secondary has held the team back for the last few years. But if this defense is to be good in 2022, the reasons will be edge rushers, Za'Darius Smith, and Danielle Hunter. Hunter has missed most of the last 2 seasons with injury, but if he's healthy, he is one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. Again here, the stats for last season are incorrect. He was very good last year before getting hurt, and he's capable of taking over games and putting up big seasons. The Vikings are playing a risky game, though, counting on 2 players who barely played last year to bounce back in Danielle Hunter and Za'Darius Smith. If healthy, you gotta watch out, but availability is a question. On top of that, the Vikings have been gashed in the running game the last couple of years, and they're hoping that the combo of Dalvin Tomlinson and Harrison Phillips can help shore that up, but I don't think you could hope for this run defense to be much more than average if everything comes together. With these Minnesota Vikings, I believe you have a team that could pretty much do anything here in 2022. If they made a deep playoff run, it wouldn't shock me. If they won 6 games, I wouldn't have the shocked Pikachu face either. And I think this creates a very interesting starting point for a franchise, because you can take this team and try to turn them into a winner, because there are a lot of good players on this team. But you could also say this isn't going to be good enough and start the trading process, moving on from veterans, acquiring picks, and then maybe drafting a replacement for Kirk Cousins high. But when you have a team like this, it's tempting to try and win with them, which is what the Vikings are trying to do in 2022. They did not blow up the roster. They are trying to win now. And you know what? That might be necessary if you want a guy like Justin Jefferson to even entertain the idea of a contract extension. Here in Madden 23, we have to focus on motivations for players. Do they really want to sign with you? Justin Jefferson wants to play with a franchise quarterback. And here in Madden 23, Kirk Cousins isn't considered one. It certainly ain't warm in Minnesota. And from the looks of things here, maybe the Vikings aren't the best long-term fit right now for Jefferson. The motivations and tags are a new feature that will impact contract negotiations, and the player tags especially, some of them are really going to help out the CPU teams, it looks like, making sure they're playing young quarterbacks and young rookies in general. But I am excited to take over this team and start this franchise rebuild. And let me know down below what you think of this choice to take over the Vikings. I don't think many of you will expect this. But if you're excited for this series, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel as we get this franchise rebuild underway. As we start things, we are here in the preseason with the Vikings. And the Vikings have played 1 game in real life against the Raiders. That doesn't have, it hasn't registered here in Madden. So we're starting off right at the beginning of things. 74 players on the roster. We got to get down to 53 before we open at home against the Green Bay Packers. From what I've seen so far in Madden 23, the progressive fatigue has just been toned down so much, and you don't have to worry a whole lot about players actually fatiguing. Like, they introduced this feature, haven't done much with it. It really needs some attention. But when we look at how we're going to divide the snaps, I'll probably be on full pads all the time. But I want to make sure, we give some reps to players who can develop. So when it comes to the cornerbacks here, I expect to go split. Same goes for like middle linebacker. I don't think we have to develop Eric Kendricks and Jordan Hicks a whole lot. I actually might go just backups there for preseason reps. Looks like we have our first upgrades of the entire series. Let's start with JJ. Number 18, Justin Jefferson. We'll upgrade his lowest archetype here. 94 overall, Justin Jefferson. There's a boost to broken tackle, catching traffic, and medium route running. He's going to be so good this year. And I'm excited to see what players can develop behind some starters in this series. I'm just looking forward to getting back to the beginning of one of these franchise rebuilds again. Can Kellen Mond develop? He's got a lot of work to do. 64 overall right now. Boosts here to deep accuracy and medium. This series will be set up just like my other franchise rebuilds. We'll play on all pro, default sliders, 11-minute quarters, 20-second clock runoff, slow simulation franchise gameplay. And we are going to start with the preseason. You know, it might be fun to perhaps stream games 2 and 3, adding on to hopefully some excitement for the start of this series, just to see some players and get some action here with the game before we get to week 1 against the Green Bay Packers. What do you think down below? If you want me to stream games 2 and 3 over the weekend, let me know. But if you're not familiar with my franchise rebuilds, I play them without actually playing them. It's slow simulation, which means we are watching from this camera angle, and it really highlights player ratings and everything, because I'm not here to control anybody. I have to build the team that's going to play well on the field without me controlling them and telling them what to do. I build the playbooks after a while, and in there you're able to design game plans, so it's like my play calling is in there because I'll be creating what's possible. But we love this format on this channel because the players matter so much, and I get to sit back and be more of a GM, and that's the experience I really enjoy, the strategic element of building teams in games and seeing how my decisions play out. We're going to start things here with KJ Osborne, another player I'm excited about. I think he showed that he can be a very good third receiver last season, filled in also for Thielen at times. It's Kirk on the outside, hooking up with Justin Jefferson for 18. Now you might wonder why I'm playing the starters here in preseason. The CPU is going to, so I will as well. There are already some injuries I've seen, by the way, going through the news feed in here. Like, Michael Thomas, I think, is done for the year. Corey Linsley is hurt. Like, there might be some preseason injuries. And the tests I've done so far, I mean, there's a decent amount of variety there in short, medium, and long-term injuries. So we're going to get a feel here for how the team plays in the preseason. Dalvin Cook up the middle for a few more. Cousins, 3rd and 2. Got it there to Adam Thielen for a first down. Cousins gets it away, and this one is off the mark, but we have a penalty. And it's pass interference against the Raiders. I also saw there's an illegal contact penalty slider in the game, so I imagine we'll see that at some time. I haven't yet in my games. I also haven't played that many. I've spent the majority of my time just looking at things inside a franchise. That's caught inside the 5. Touchdown, Justin Jefferson. It's preseason, but it doesn't matter. That's always going to be fun to watch. We're hoping to see a lot of this here in the franchise, but how often will it be Kirk to Jefferson? We'll see. So I talked about the Vikings kind of being a reaction after how my Giants franchise went. And not only do I think we're not going to have our franchise quarterback likely after the first offseason, but this also gives me a chance to rebuild a defense. Whereas with the Giants, a lot of that series was developing who was already there. And there's some young talent on this Vikings defense, but really not much. It's mostly veterans. And then you consider on offense as well. I mean, running backs. How long will we keep Dalvin Cook? What about Adam Thielen, who is in his 30s? Irv Smith is about to be a free agent next year. So there are going to be some things to work on here very early on with this team. It's not really a full-on rebuild right away, but there will be a lot of changes to make within the first few seasons. Cousins on first down. This time he goes underneath, and that's Irv Smith. This is a pretty good start so far for the Viking offense. Kirk Cousins on second down. Now he dishes it outside, and that catch is made again by Justin Jefferson. Play fake on second down. And Cousins across the middle has Thielen by himself. Down to the Raider 26. Here's Dalvin Cook now trying to get it going. But the passing game has easily been the star of the show here in this first preseason game. Third down now from the empty set. Here comes Jefferson. They fake it with Cook coming across, and Cousins hooks up with Osborne inside the 5. I like the playbook here so far. This is the Kevin O'Connell playbook, and I'll always take a look at the playbook that they start out with before I make any major changes. Cousins on first down, touchdown, Irv Smith. The starters look ready. This is more action than you're expected to see in the preseason. Now he blitzed Derek Carr, and that one is hauled in by Davante Adams. Love seeing him out of the NFC North, away from Green Bay. Hey, we're in the backfield once again with good run defense. Danielle Hunter is there. He helps out pretty well in the running game as well. He's racked up a lot of tackles in his career. Third down and 12. Protecting Carr a little bit better. And the deep ball is broken up, and that's Andrew Booth Jr. on the defense. Well, we've gotten to see the starters some, but let's move over to the backups now. And Kellen Mond at quarterback for the Vikings. In his second year out of Texas A&M, and we have a ball on the ground. I don't know if that's going to be a fumble or not. Turns out it is, and the Raiders take over. That was Albert Wilson, I believe, who fumbled it, the veteran receiver. The Raiders take over now. Is this Nick Mullins extending the play and throwing away? Mullins, he's got his man inside the 10. Nice grab. Raiders trying to tie this game now with their backups. And they'll run it inside, easily getting the touchdown. All right, try to keep the ball longer than one play this time. It's Kellen Mond dumping it off. I want to see some of Kene Nwangwu here. Iowa State running back, second year. You might have seen him return a couple kicks for a touchdown a year ago. Mond underneath again, and that'll go for a first down. Vikings have some other intriguing running backs. We all know Alexander Madison is a pretty good backup running back to Dalvin Cook. He's in the last year of his deal, so I want a very nice look at Nwangwu and Ty Chandler, as that catch was made by Amir Smith-Marset. He's a downfield receiver from Iowa in his second year, also a punt returner. Mond fakes on first down. He airs it out. I can't tell who that was for. From the 47 now, Mond over the middle and incomplete. Third down, Mond airs it out again. Nice throw, and it's out of bounds apparently. The Vikings are one of those teams that can be really good if every starter stays healthy, but one thing this team lacks is sufficient depth at a lot of positions. And that's one thing that could really hurt this team, is if injuries start to add up. At certain spots, you can handle it, but in others, say the secondary, wide receiver, you really don't want to see injuries to those top guys. Third down here. Let's see if Mond can get us a conversion. We've seen this look before. Oh no. Last thing I want to see is Nick Mullins hyping up the preseason crowd as they score 21 unanswered. 2 minutes to go in the first half. Here's Mullins completing across the middle into Viking territory. Raiders have controlled this game ever since the backups came in. On second down, Mullins feels the rush and he's picked off. Going the other way, the Vikings will tie the game. Pick six. We've taken this game into the fourth quarter now. Vikings trail by 7. We have a lot of scoring here as Mond gets away and dumps it off. There goes Wongwu. There's a fun play. You'll notice the simulating gives a lot of scoring in this game, and it's something I hope they tone down a bit because the sim stats are ridiculous. 4,000 or actually 5,000 yard passers all over the place, 40 plus touchdowns. That one is thrown away by Kellen Mond. So we've seen a couple good things here from Mond. Do we believe in him as the long-term backup, potential starter one day? We'll find out. This is 3rd and 11 for Kellen Mond. And he dumps this one off. It's going to take us inside the 20. And we're going for it here. How about a 4th and 5? Kellen Mond. He needs the 13 of the Raiders. He throws, and it's caught off the deflection. Wow, that was first off the hands of Alexander Madison. And then it's caught by tight end Johnny Munt. What a strange play. I've seen a lot of these tipped completions in this game. Gotta watch out for that second receiver. Mond on first down. That's caught. Inside the 10, Tristan Jackson. This is a 3rd down. Could be 4-down territory here. It's gotta be if they already went for it once. Down goes Mond, and it's 4th and 7. Gotta go for it, right? No, they kick it this time. So let's see this backup defense then try to get the football back for us one more time. 4:22 to go in the ball game. Mullins off the play fake. Spins. Intercepted again! And the Vikings have a short field. Picked off by Troy Dye. Pressure causes a lot of mistakes in this game. You'll find that out real quick. Nice job by Troy Dye. No gloves, no arm sleeves, no nonsense. Just making a play. 1st and 10. All right, Kellen Mond, 23 yards out. This one is hauled in by Amir Smith-Marset as Oli Udoh is shaken up. Hoping for no major injuries here in the preseason. 4 and change left to go in the ball game. Mond blitzed as he overthrows the screen. I've seen that one before. 3rd and 3. Swung out in space and can't get there. I don't want to see a field goal here. We won't. Trips right. Johnny Munt left. It's 4th and 4. Mond for Munt. First down to the 10. They hand this off, and fighting forward, Ihmir Smith-Marsette to the 5. I like some of the creativity I'm seeing out of this playbook. But now it's 3rd down. Mond to the air, steps up, throws, and he's intercepted. And this is returnable as the touchdown is saved by Wongwu. We miss a great chance to go and take this game as the Raiders take over. And they'll try to run this clock out on the backup defense. That's a good start. Here's Mullins. Quick pass. It's hauled in for a first down. I don't like our chances to see the football again. There you go. That's a real run stop for once. It's our last stand here. That was number 90, defensive lineman Otomewo. I'm not super familiar with him. They'll run again. We clog that one. And now the deciding play. 3rd down. Will the Vikings see the football again? Raiders need 5. Gotta defend the pass. Mullins is sacked. DJ Wonnum. And the Viking defense comes up big at the end of a game to give Kellen Mond one more chance. Or do we want to see Sean Mannion? Yeah, we're going to stick with Mond. And we have to go 95 yards, by the way, in 1:43. Big spot here for young Kellen Mond in the end zone. Safety? That's how it ends? We need some end zone awareness here. Just run. You can't go that way. Not quite the ending there I was hoping to see. But that is a little taste of Minnesota Vikings football here on Madden 23, going through our first preseason game. I can stream the other two, grab some highlights on our way to our Week 1 opener against Green Bay. Or we could always just move on to that game against the Packers. But I just think maybe streaming would be a fun way to just hang out, talk about the team, talk about the series, and get into it a little bit for those that enjoy the live streams. Here are the final stats in this game, as Mond had 35 pass attempts. He did complete 20, but for only 144 yards. 4.1 yards per attempt is not much at all. On the ground, Kene Wongwu, 9 carries, 26 yards behind a pretty weak backup offensive line. There wasn't much rushing success in this game. And receiving, Johnny Munt had his moments. Ihmir Smith-Marsette, 4 for 11. How is that even possible? Matt Collins, 4 for 63. Albert Wilson had 4 catches. Jefferson was the main standout, of course. Let's just focus on our stats here. Nobody had more than 6 tackles. 4 tackles for loss, 1 sack, that was at the very end, and 2 picks. I'm looking forward to doing a series with the Vikings again. I really hope that you are as well. I know this is going to be a surprise, but I hope that despite this not being the type of team you normally see rebuilt here, I think we can have a really good time. We did suffer an injury in that game. Looks like Oli Udoh is going to miss the rest of the preseason with an abdominal tear. Wow, there are a lot of injuries going down here. Micah Hyde and Derrick Henry done for the year? I didn't even do anything to the injury slider, but this is already a pretty intense start on the injury front. If we go through things here, Dakota Dozier has a season ender. Oh wait, Hyde's only done for 1 week. Maybe I read that wrong or something. Wow, huge injury there to Tyron Smith, 19 weeks. Okay, those news stories then are just completely wrong. It's just another thing they have to fix here in franchise. There are some improvements to the mode that I'm happy to have for this franchise as opposed to my last one, but there's still a long way to go for this mode. Like, these are just completely incorrect headlines. But that, everybody, will do it for the first episode of the Minnesota Vikings franchise rebuild on Madden 23. Looking to make this a very big series with a lot of videos coming out in the near future. Possibly a stream, maybe tomorrow, if I can set aside some time and you actually want to see some preseason games with this team. But the opener against the Packers will be soon regardless. But we'll be into rebuilding the Vikings soon to try and turn them into a championship team. Leave your feedback down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.